You've got some extra firepower to deal with here this season, haven't you?
I know, let's hope so.
It must be great having to integrate two experienced internationals into your side.
Yeah, I think well, actually, I'm really impressed with the young boys here as well. Some, obviously, George and Scott will get all the headlines, but some good young players coming through as well.
Yeah.
Actually, it reminds me of some of the boys, like Jared and Owen Lane and what have you. So
yeah.
Hopefully we'll grow a bit of depth as well, I think.
Yeah. Well, the second half performance against Saracens proved that, didn't it? I mean, there were some good youngsters came on and added a bit of impetus.
Yeah, I think especially Luke Price done really well. He's had a good pre-season. Young lad called Joe Thomas as well, who played 13, is a good player. And it's been probably, obviously, it's my first year in. It's been a nice surprise for me as well. There's always, you know what you're getting with the likes of Tips and Alan Wynne and Bradley and what have you. I've obviously worked with Aled, Scott and George before, but it's been really pleasing to see underneath that there's some good boys coming through, because as you know, in this league you need that, especially during international periods. So.
Well, if you think that everyone thought, oh, it's a disaster, you lose the two half-backs that they've lost, but then you look at Rupert Walker-Williams coming through with Price, as you say, Sam Davis to step in and stand up, so to speak. Yeah. It's natural evolution rather than terrible wastage. Yeah,
it is. Look, it's not. Ultimately, you've lost two British Lion halfbacks, and they're not easy to replace. They've won a lot of games over the years for the Ospreys, but as you said, it gives Sam a good opportunity, along with Luke and James Hook, to grab the 10 shirt. Aled's been brilliant as a 9, and as I said, probably with Joe and Luke underneath that 9, you've got Haberfield, who's very good 9, played in big games, and you've got 3 young boys, Matthew Albury added to that as well, coming through. Look pretty good. So I think it's not going to be a quick fix. They take a little bit of time to come through, but there's definitely some signs that the future looks pretty good with these boys.
And if you look at the way that Jared Evans developed last year, you've obviously played a part in that, but you've got an established international in Sam. Can he make the step up?
Yeah, I think you've got to learn. I learned probably in my last 2 jobs. So I was at Bristol before I went to the Blues, and obviously we had Gavin Henson played at 10 and Nicky Robinson played at 10, and there was a young lad underneath them, a Welsh lad actually called Callum Sheedy. And when Bristol got promoted the first time, he was the form 10. He was training better. He almost had, kind of the exuberance of youth a little bit as well. He didn't look pressurised with big games. And I learned in my last year at Bristol, you got to pick on form, not on reputation. Like, form's so important, and I think it's going to be the same at the Blues with Jared. Obviously, you had Shingler and Anscombe there, but Jared found a rich vein of form. And I just spoke to the backs now. Actually, the most pleasing thing for me to come out of Thursday against Sarries was it showed there's some depth there, and we need George and Scott and Sam Davis and Aled to know that there are boys snapping at their heels, because I'll probably use some experience from the Blues. At the end of last year, you had Thomas and Lloyd fighting, Gareth and Jared, Garen Smith come through, Owen Lane, and it makes for a much healthier environment. And as I said, I see that here as well.
Yeah. The result doesn't really matter against the Saracens, but the performance is certainly a level up from what happened.
Yeah, I think we reviewed it today, and it's easy to jump around in pre-season, and ultimately pre-season. It's not. I don't think it's a massive reflection of what happens in the league season from experience, but there were certain areas against Northampton we were happy with, certain areas we weren't happy with, and the good thing going from Saints to a good Saracens team is that those areas improved, and it's not going to be a quick fix. There's a lot of work to do here, but there was certainly some improvement against Saints. Against it was they had a lot missing, but it's still a very, very good Saracens team.
Has there been much talk about the start from last season and needing to improve on that this?
Not really. I've been really mindful coming in. I think it's so easy in any job really, but to go into a new environment and compare to what's happened in the past. obviously last year was a disappointment for the Ospreys, but if you look over, you know, probably the history of the Celtic League and the Pro 14, they've been the most successful region, and there's always ups and downs at every club. It goes in cycles. So I've been really mindful of just to concentrate on this season without comparing last season. So obviously it's a fresh start. We've got fresh coaches in, some fresh players, and there's a real vibrant feel about the place. I think it's looking to, well, first of all, Edinburgh, and not really worrying about what's happened last season. But it's a tough start. They're a good side, Edinburgh.
Is Sean Edwards following you or haunting you?
I thought I got rid of him actually at the end of last year, but yeah, he's like a bad penny. He just appeared outside then. So yeah, he's following me at the moment. He may be haunting me by Christmas.
He seemed to have a good influence at the Blues last year.
Yeah, look, he's a world-class coach. I've worked with him. I've been lucky enough to work with him on summer tour and an autumn international campaign, and worked with him at the Blues. And what he did at the Blues, he complemented Richard Hodges and brought him along. And what he's doing here is complementing Brad Davis, who in his own right is a very, very good defence coach. But he certainly adds his own unique bite. He's a world-class coach.
Great.
Matt, for Friday, will you have a full complement in terms of the couple of boys who didn't play against Saracens, but just in terms of players coming back from Alan Wynne, will you have a full complement available for them? Yeah, we've got them available. Obviously, it's just trying to bring players back at the right times, but at the moment there's obviously still a few bumps and bruises, but we've pretty much got a full complement to pick from.
What's up with Callum Sheedy?
What's that, sorry?
What's happened with Sheedy?
Oh, he's still there, yeah, he's still there. Yeah, he's behind Madigan, I think, and a couple more. They got a rock star team, haven't they? So.
What's it been like for you, Matt, just coming, switching across?
I've really enjoyed it. It's I know obviously you probably imagine I'd say that, but I was at Bristol for 5 years, and I think it's better to maybe leave a place a year too early rather than a year too late. I'd probably say a year too late at Bristol. I thoroughly enjoyed the Blues, brilliant environment, really enjoyed working with the players and the staff there, but I'm not young, but in terms of coach, I'm still a pretty young coach, and you learn a lot by changing environment, not changing for the sake of change, but working with Brad and obviously Clarkey, and working with the likes of, you know, Scott Williams and George North. It keeps you on your game as a coach. So I've learned a lot off the other coaches, and you learn little bits and pieces off players as well. So for me, it's been really refreshing, because at the Blues, I ran the attack, and Danny's a little bit more set piece orientated. Richard Hodges is, you know, very defence orientated. What I've found here is they're rugby coaches first, so Clark has got an interest in the game as a whole. Brad Davis is very good to bounce ideas off, so I've really enjoyed that part of it, because I can feel myself getting better as a coach.
With George, I mean, he's obviously started as a wing. Throughout his career, there's always been movements that he might move into the centre at some point. Where do you see him at the Ospreys at the moment? I see him as a wing who can play in the centre rather than the other way round. So he's the key for George, and as obvious as it sounds, is just getting him on the ball. So I feel my job is to allow George to do what he's good at. So within the first 2 or 3 phases, I know that I can plan to get George North on the ball. So probably our best attack against Saracens was when George carried first phase, because he gives you good flow, and you know, he gives you go forward on your early set. So I'll be looking to get George in the game as much as possible as a wing. If we need him as cover, maybe if, you know, something happens in game, then he'll move to 13. But first and foremost, I feel he's a wing.
Does that mean he's more of a creator rather than a finisher? If you're going to give him first ball?
Well, hopefully he can score off first phase, but I just think as the game develops as a wing, it becomes much more about decision making then, and when you enter the line and who you enter the line off. The first couple of phases, as simple as it sounds, when you've got your big ball carriers, when you know where the defence are, it's much easier to get them in the game. So first 2 or 3 phases we'll use George, and then, you know, he'll have licence to go and get his hands on the ball as play develops.
Do you see Matt getting more involved in the game as a right winger rather than a left winger, because obviously working a blind side and on scrums, etc.?
Yeah, I think the key for me with wings, and it was the same, say, working with Alex at the Blues as well, is it's so easy to say as a coach, oh, go and look for the ball, but actually with wings, they're dynamic players who you want doing repeat speed movements, basically. So what I don't want to see George doing, or any of the wings here, is just running around the pitch looking for a touch, and they end up wasting all their energy. So it's being smart with it. So as I said, using them off first phase, even if it means moving them out of position. So we may move George off the wing first phase and put him in the centre, just to change the picture for defensive. And then I'd like to think I'm pretty clear with where I want the wings to enter in the back line. So it's almost putting some game sense to his work rate, if you like.
Edinburgh, what are you expecting now?
Look, I think they're probably the most improved team in the competition, and obviously we played them twice last year with the Blues. They've got very, very good defence. They got the third best defence in the league, and I think statistically it was the seventh best attack. So their defence is 100% their strength. I think they probably mirror their head coach. They're quite a confrontational team now. Like Richard Cockerell teams are pretty direct. They want the ball back, and as I said, I think, and I'm not saying it because we're playing them on Friday, I do genuinely believe that they were the most improved team last season. They were pretty unlucky to lose to Munster. If you look at that game, it was an overthrown line out and a piece of magic by Zebo. Otherwise, Edinburgh are into a semi-final. They're a very good team. So it's actually a perfect challenge for us to start, because we'll know where we are after the game. But I said to the players today, we need to be at our very, very best to stand a chance.
What's Cockerell put into them? Hard edge maybe, but
yeah, there's definitely edge to them. They compete for everything. So he's a world-class coach. He was very combative as a player, and if you look at Edinburgh now, their basics are very good. They've got a very good set piece. Callum McRae's done a very good job with their defence. They're a hard team to break down. Their pre-season shows that. They've conceded 3 tries against a good Bath team and a Newcastle team away from home who were on fire last season. And the try against Newcastle's last play of the game. So he's brought a real steeliness to them. Without being disrespectful to them, probably my first season, the Pro 14, we played them at home at the Arms Park, and we went a couple of tries up and we could have kind of run away with the game. If you look at Edinburgh's results now, teams don't run away with games against them. They're a very resilient bunch, and I think that's the main thing he's brought. And obviously it's their second season now, so I'm sure that they're trying to add a little bit of subtlety to that as well.